Hello there, you beautiful, gorgeous listeners. His name is Aaron, and he just can't seem to find his library card.
His name's Tommy, and his dad's the president of Xbox, so he can ban your gamer tag.
And this is the Superpod Saga. What episode are we on?
27, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Episode 27 of our podcast. Thank you for checking in. If you are a first-time listener to the Superpod Saga, welcome. Grab a seat. Thank you for coming. This podcast is a podcast where Aaron and I bring a different video game topic to our episodes to discuss every week. No current events, no reviews. We just find a different topic and we talk about it until there's nothing left to discuss. Right, Aaron?
Right, we'll very thoroughly bitch about it.
Yeah, lots of bitching, but also positivity, positive bitching. Where can the lovely people find us on social media to find all of our hot takes?
Yes, sir. We were primarily on Twitter. We do also have Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Tumblr, but I tend to forget about those a lot. But I do usually upload audiograms or sound bites, whatever you want to call them. I do usually put those on at least TikTok and YouTube Shorts, though.
Yeah, so check us out.
But they can you can just go to superpodsaga.com and you can find everything there is to know about us right there.
Yeah, it's a website. It's a superpodsaga.com. No .squarespace, no .wordpress, just superpodsaga.com.
Mm-hmm. Short, sweet, to the point.
And Aaron, you picked our topic of the episode. What are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, difficult video games.
Yay! What's your relationship with difficult video games? Like, do you enjoy difficulty in games?
I guess it's kind of a love-hate relationship because yeah, I do like difficult video games. I do like a challenge, but sometimes there's some games that are just unfair and just pull no punches, and I hate them for it.
Yeah,
but
I'm a big baby. I, for most of my life, only play games on easy or whatever the easiest difficulty would be because I don't like dying in video games. I don't like challenge. I don't like things that keep me from the good parts of games, which is like the story, the adventure, this fun stuff. But in the last year or so, I've bumped up to playing games on the normal recommended difficulty. So my experience in this isn't going to be as grand as some people. Like, I'm sure I'm going to say some games where you're like, that's not difficult, but for me it was. What's the first one on your list, Mr. Aaron?
Well, let's see here. Well, I guess I also forgot to mention too on our website. Please be sure to check out our Patreon and the tip jar and all that stuff. Tip jar and help support the show, please.
We'll give you a shout out, right? That's the thing that they can pay for.
Yeah, $2 you get a shout out during the ad break. $4 you get access to bonus episodes.
Whoa!
And then $6 you get to be on our bonus episodes, and I have lots of cool ideas for those. On it. Yep, exactly. You get to be part of the Superpod Saga.
That's like that's cheaper than going to Pizza Ranch.
Is it really?
I don't know. There aren't any pizza ranches where I live. I haven't been in so long.
You're missing out on that dessert pizza. Well, the first one I had down is one that I know you and I both have played and enjoyed. Celeste.
Celeste, yeah, I love Celeste.
Yeah. Did you have that one on your list?
No, I didn't, but it's a good one.
Ooh, that is okay. Yeah, Celeste it's one of those rare games that's difficult, but it's fair.
Yes.
Because like at the beginning of each I almost said episode, at the beginning of each level, it gives you a respawn or checkpoint or whatever, like right the fuck there. And I feel like other games, they'll make you go through like the entire level and then you finally get a checkpoint like midway through or something. But yeah, with Celeste, it's super quick. Like whenever you die, it just respawns you right there at the beginning of the level. And then you learn from your mistakes and you go right through it again. And you use whatever limitations you have with your moveset to get through the level, and it's great. And the music and of course the visuals are awesome. The story is really, really cool too.
I think
those strawberries.
I think what makes the strawberries. I think what makes it the way it's difficult but fair is like you see exactly what you need to do. You know what you need to do, like to clear an area or to clear a room or whatever. You just have to do it. And yeah, it is difficult as heck, but like I don't know. There's just that feeling of like I know I can do this. I just have to do it right. I just have to hit
Mhm.
every button, hit every jump, and I love it's a great they strike like the perfect balance between difficulty and fairness. And I got every strawberry my first time through. If I saw a strawberry, I was like I'm not going anywhere until I get this.
Those are really cool too. They basically add an extra little layer of challenge to the game because it's like, well, I could just fly right through and get to the end of the level, but it's like, well, I could probably stop for a strawberry. I could
I
probably
could,
stop and
I could go for a
grab one of
strawberry. I
those.
like strawberries. The only one I didn't find on my own was there was one that was behind a hidden wall, which I really did not like because all the other ones are visible, but there's exactly one that's behind a hidden wall that you can fall through or quote or phase through or whatever you want to call it.
I also really like that whenever you do die, it's not necessarily like oh this game is it doesn't work right and like whenever I died anyway, I felt like it was entirely my fault. I was just like,
Yep,
well,
yep,
get better. Need to get better at the game.
yep.
Need
And it's
to need
quick,
to
snappy. It's just like you died, go. You died, go.
yeah, exactly. And it was yeah, great. I do not regret a single second of that game. It was great.
I'm excited to see what that new game they're making is. Looks anything from this promising.
With those chunky pixels.
Big chunky pixels. A game that doesn't have any chunky pixels, but is also super difficult is Elden Ring. Everyone,
It's
Elden
got
Ring is
chunky enemies.
super difficult, and I haven't played any other Soulsborne games, so like I've heard that Sekiro is like the most difficult one. I've never played it. I've never played Dark Souls. Never played Demon Souls. So for me, Elden Ring was oh boy, that was an introduction to difficulty. Um, there's a lot that goes into Elden Ring that makes it difficult. Basically, any enemy can kill you if you make a mistake, which is terrifying. Like, there's no just running through and being like, "Haha, I'm killing all these guys until I get to a tough one." They're all secretly difficult.
That's cool.
I didn't get too far in Elden Ring. I mean, I played for 40 hours, but I still feel like I didn't get too far. There's a couple of castles, and the level design is surprisingly adds to the difficulty, or at least it did for me, because there's like traps, tricks, secret things like you'll go into you'll see like a glowy thing in a room and you'll be like, ooh, glowy thing, let me go get it. And you go in and the door shuts behind you and it turns dark and you hear a laugh and then there's a big
Oh
boss that
no.
just one hits you and you're like, okay, all right, fine. Or you'll just be running along and a bird comes out and throws a explosive barrel at you and you're like, cool, okay, I guess I deserved that. But at the end of the day, like learning the level layouts and learning where everything is and how to like counter everything and dodge everything, it feels super good when you are on like your seventh run through the castle and you're like, dodge this, stab this, block that, go around this, and that's a super satisfying feeling. But man, there's just even like the the knowledge of how to use weapons or the stats and what they mean and leveling up, and it's just very not clear, and that also adds to the difficulty because I'm like I always use bows in games where they offer me a bow, and apparently that's not the best weapon to use in Elden Ring. So I built up like that, and I spent so much time grinding and collecting arrows. So I'm sure that made it more difficult for me. But yeah, man, Elden Ring is just slamming your head against a wall over and over again until your head goes through the wall.
That's what I've heard. Heads do go through walls with that game. That's what I've heard. I That's cool. They have bows. I don't remember there being bows on other
Yeah,
Souls games. Maybe, yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. Maybe like an eighth of my time was I found this island that has a bunch of sheep on it. So I would go to this island and just run around murdering sheep to collect their parts to make arrows because you don't find very many out in the world. So I would just like do a 30-minute run of making arrows, and then I'd go back to wherever I was and try and get through it. And then I'd go back, slaughter more sheep, get more arrows.
Damn, that sounds like a lot, Tommy.
I wonder why I got burned out.
Why? Why would you get arrows from sheep?
They're bones. Turn their
Well, what
bones
about
into arrows.
But what about the feather part? Or I guess maybe they just don't have the feather,
You can,
the fletch or whatever.
if you want to, you can kill birds to make different arrows, but you only need bones to make the basic arrows.
Oh, that's cool.
They thought of that, Aaron.
Well, speaking of bones, the next one I had was Monster Hunter Rise. Yeah.
Oh.
it's definitely not easy. I mean, I've played a pretty fair amount of Monster Hunter in my time, in all my years on the planet, and I it's kind of I mean most monsters I can solo. There's probably some that are way too difficult for me to get to because the weapon I use just isn't as mobile as a lot of the other ones. But yeah, it's way better when you have other people there playing with you, and it's probably a little bit easier
Hmm.
with maybe like four people there. But if you're just starting the game, like you're brand new to the series, it's it's probably pretty intimidating
Oh yeah.
because just kind of just like the Soulsborne games, they don't tell you a whole lot about how to play. There are like guides and tutorials in the game to help you figure out what to do and how to do this and that, and like the controls and shit like that. But the game doesn't, I guess, outright give you a tutorial. It's just like get out there and hunt, bitch.
Yeah. We uh we played the demo of the Switch version and I was completely lost. I had no idea if I was helping or hindering our progress in killing the giant monster. I know that we never killed it and I take total responsibility for that. The controls are madness, complete madness. Press and hold this, and then hold this and press this to do a thing. And I'm like, "No." No.
Oh my god! Once you really get attuned to them, they're so slick. Like,
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
it comes to Game Pass tomorrow, so we definitely gotta do that. Like, I'll definitely put another 100 hours on the Switch Axe or the maybe I'll main the hammer this time. I don't know. The Switch Axe is just so good. So
Is there a
much.
bow?
Yeah, there's lots of bows.
Heck yeah.
There's a bow gun, or no, yeah, there's like a bow gun. There's a bow and arrow. There's like two other types of bows.
I'm in.
There's lots of other ranged weapons too, if you're interested.
I'm in. I love ranged weapons. That's all I do.
Hell yeah. There's a bunch of other people in the co-op podcast network that said they'd play some Monster Hunter as well too. So we'll group up with a bunch of people and go murder a monster and teach you the ropes.
And I'll drag everyone down and
No, you'll do just fine. You have a top flight Monster Hunter veteran on your side, Thomas.
just I'm just picturing you carrying me on your back, just doing all these flips and flying through the sky, and I'm just like shooting my bow off in random directions, just completely missing.
I'm just carrying you in like a backpack on
Yeah,
my back, and you're like, I'm doing
I'm
it.
helping. Take that.
You're throwing arrows just from your hands. You're just throwing them, not even using your bow.
I know that we already talked about Elden Ring, but that's exactly what happened with one of the with Godric or whatever his name is, one of the first big bosses. You can summon people to help you, and so I would summon two people and go in, and I would just stand back shooting arrows as they were in there, like dodging, diving, doing all this magic, and I was just flip, 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 and then I killed, and I was like, yes, I did it, even though I did like none of the work.
Yeah, that'd be funny if it broke down the damage after you beat them, and it was like everybody else had like these huge like screen breaking bars, and yours was just like a little hair.
From my 5 arrows, man.
Yeah, yeah, time to go back to Sheep Island.
Gotta, you guys want to come back to Sheep Island with me? There's so many sheep bones.
Fucking island. With sheep, you get arrows. Oh,
Man,
shit.
speaking of games with animals, have you ever played Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels?
I'm pretty sure, yeah,
What an
at one point.
absolute freaking nightmare. I back in the day I had the Nintendo Wii, and as part of their WiiWare service or virtual console or whatever, they released Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels, and they explained that they were like, this was only released in Japan because it was too difficult for American gamers. And I was like, I'm an American gamer. How dare you? So I bought it and downloaded
Scoff.
it, and wouldn't you know, it's impossible. That is like, it's like someone went into Mario Maker and specifically made like mean levels. There's just so much bullshit in it. Like, you'll be running and you'll be like, "Hey, gonna jump this gap," and they put an invisible block there that kills you, or you'll
What?
hit a box and a mushroom will come out. It's different colored than usual, so you should think something, but it never explains anything. And you touch it and you die. It's just an instant death. Or you hit a block and hey, here's a bloober. That's the squid, right? Bloober. What's the little
Yep.
squid guys? Yeah, blooper
Yeah.
flying around above the water chasing you now. It's just like so difficult. I never even got through World 2, I don't think, or for 3. I did not make it far at all. It's They were right. They were right that it was way too difficult for Americans.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. And they had the poison mushrooms too. I forgot about that. Now I remember this. God, what a Miyamoto is just he was up there in his tower up there in Tokyo, and he like doing the evil person thing with his hands, like yes, yes.
I told you. I tried telling you, Tommy. That's probably what started me on not playing difficult games. I was like, I can't even beat this Mario game that Miyamoto made. How am I supposed to beat Halo?
We should do a stream of that where we try to beat
Man,
that game
nightmare. I
in one sitting.
Good luck. One without dying.
I would probably cry. I would shed so many tears. Like,
We
why can't
yeah,
I beat
no.
this
No.
game?
Who would do this?
I'm the quintessential gamer.
I wish it's so funny that I'm like Elden Ring, all these mechanics, all these different designs and everything, and then Mario, there's stupid blocks everywhere.
Speaking of difficult games with blocks, Darkest Dungeon. What
Yeah.
a pain in my ass, dude. Oh my god, I want so desperately to be good at this game, but it just does not hold back. It's a roguelike turn-based RPG, and essentially you're going down into these dungeons, and there's so much fucking shit you have to prepare for. So first off, your characters, I mean, you can choose characters of different classes, and each class is like a different, like I guess like capabilities in combat. Because like there's one character who's mainly a healer, and then there's another class that's like your big tanky knight boy, and he can stun people, and yada yada yada. And oh my god, yeah, they'll build up stress from what taking damage, running into enemies,
Just like real
the
life.
light level. Basically, yeah. If light level's too low, if they walk fucking backward, if they walk backwards, Tommy, they gain
I
stress.
I don't even try walking backwards because of the stress it induces on me.
Walking forward is stressful enough. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and then if they accumulate too much stress, they'll develop some like weird mental disability or some shit like that. Or I guess I shouldn't say disability, mental disorder. Like they'll become a fucking alcoholic or a kleptomaniac or like necrophilia or something.
Oh,
And
jeez.
yeah, it's fucking nuts. And sometimes if their stress level, because like it'll fill up, get to level 1, fill up again to level 2, and then 3, and like the higher it gets, the more I guess like the more insane they go. And so when it gets to like certain levels, they'll just fucking snap, and they'll completely fuck up the order of your characters in your party, because yeah, certain characters attacks only work if they're in a certain spot in the party, and other times they'll snap and just attack party members, or they'll just fucking skip their turn. They'll just be like, nah, I'm cool, chief, and then they'll skip their turn or something. And that pisses me off. And then, god damn it, and then before you go into a dungeon, you have to prepare for fucking everything. You have to make sure you have plenty of food, plenty of torches, maybe a shovel, so you don't bust up your pretty fucking precious Vaseline covered hands trying to just fucking scrape away some dirt. Plenty of medicine, bandages, all this stupid shit. Because God forbid you don't have a fucking bandage, and one of your characters happens to start bleeding. Fuck that run. Better run back to town and then cry into your hands back at the tavern. Oh my god. And then like when the game is bad, it's insanely frustrating. Because I mean the game, yeah, it's all about stress management and all that shit. It's absolutely stressful. But then when it's good, it's good. But I just I've had good runs, and then I've had good runs that end badly because just for whatever reason I'll be just slaying motherfuckers all throughout a dungeon. And then I'll get to like one encounter and my characters will just freak out and they'll just fucking die one by one, and then your characters, you cannot bring them back. If they die, they die. So if you get a bunch of characters up to like level 3 and they fucking die, you have to start again all over. Unless you've invested a bunch of money into the wagon, I mean you can recruit characters that'll be at level 3, but if you haven't, you'll get characters back at level 0 and you have to grind it back up to level 3, and that sucks. That's Darkest Dungeon, everybody.
Is
Fuck
there
that game.
between runs or whatever they're called in the game? Do you like level up your characters or unlock things to make it easier, or is it just always the same and it's just like you are going to have to keep trying this until you succeed?
After you clear a dungeon, your characters will gain experience and they'll level up and stuff. And then when you go back to town, you can equip what are they called, trinkets or accessories or whatever that give them little buffs. And then also you can upgrade the armor and weapons and abilities of certain characters. They do extra damage. They can take more damage, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then you can also relieve stress at like the tavern. Like they'll just drink their fucking sorrows away, or you can go gamble, or you can go hang out with the homies at the brothel. You know, whatever you want to do, just relieve some stress. And I think that is, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like you have to invest a good amount of money into all of the stuff in the town too, because otherwise if you spend all your money on just weapons and shit, you won't go anywhere because your characters will just die with all that money that you put into them.
Man, that sounds
Very
difficult.
Mhm. Don't buy it, Tommy. If you value your sanity, don't buy. I mean, do, because it's fun. Like I said, when it's good, but when it's bad, oh god.
Speaking of games where things can just go from bad to worse really quickly, XCOM/XCOM 2, everybody. Oh man, I played XCOM to completion in college, and then I played XCOM 2 for a bit and hated it, and I have recently, as in like the last week, started playing XCOM 2 again, and I'm liking it a lot more than I did back in college. But that doesn't take away how unfair and difficult the game is. We've mentioned a lot about how games are difficult but fair, and I think XCOM is the opposite. It is 100% unfair. It does not care about anything you've planned. It does not care about anything you're trying to do. It doesn't care about like what makes sense. It just goes. It just goes at you at 100 miles an hour every time. Like I just yesterday I was doing a mission. No, like 2 days ago. It doesn't matter. I was doing a mission where you have to rescue civilians, and you have to go within one tile of them to tell them, hey, get out of here. What are you, run? And I, like, every turn the enemies will kill some, so you want to be quick about it. And I had taken 3 of my people's turn, and I was on my last person's turn. And I was like, well, if I sprint using all of my moves, I can reach another person and have them get sent home. So I sprint up to this person, and they turn into a giant 9-foot tall alien slime monster thing. So now I'm just one tile away. No one has any moves, and it's like, hey, here's a giant thing that's about to kill your guy, and sure enough, he does. He does. That's just it. Just through no fault of my own, I could not have possibly known that was going to happen. It just happens, and that's so much in XCOM, because they also have the odds of hitting, which never go like you want them to. It'll be like 85% from point blank range, and your guy will be like, oops, missed. You'll be like, why? Why did you do that? And XCOM 2 in particular, I don't know why, but they added a turn timer to a lot of the missions. So not only do you have to go in and do the objectives, but you have to do it in a certain amount of time. Like I had one where it was like, go disarm this thing and then get to the evac point. And I had 2 people that didn't make it to the evac point in time. One person was 1 tile short. So what happens when the timer runs out is the helicopter just leaves, and you don't have those soldiers anymore. They're not dead, they're captured, but you can't use them. So that sucks that you came up 1 tile short. The helicopter couldn't wait any longer. And it's just it's a constant slap in the face with how unfair it is, but to its credit, when you do things right and you beat the stupid game at its stupid unfairness, it just makes it all the more satisfying. There's just tons of situations. You grow to love your little people that you can name yourself or let them be whatever, and yeah, it's incredibly unfair, incredibly difficult, but satisfying when you beat it.
Hell yeah. That was my favorite part of XCOM, was just naming everybody's stupid fucking names. And then yeah, does XCOM 2 still have like the fog of war bullshit?
Okay. Actually, they changed it a little bit in XCOM 2, which I think is for the better. It does have the fog of war, but when you get close enough to, you start each encounter, the aliens don't know where you are. and they can't see you either. When you get close enough, you'll actually see their range of vision will be like red tiles that are like 10 tiles around them. So you can actually position your guys where you want them to and put them in Overwatch, and then fire the first shot, and then as they run away, you'll do like the shots, the reaction shots at them moving. So they actually did make that better in that you can actually plan out your defenses before you strike. You are the one doing the attacks.
That's that's good at least. But because I remember in Enemy Unknown or Enemy Within or whatever, you could just you couldn't see anything at all in the fog. You can see enemies come out and then go in and they just disappear. So if you
Yeah.
moved a guy into the fog and like, oops, there's an enemy here,
And now
your
they
guy's
attack
just staring
you.
him in the face. Yeah, they're just doing a sweet little handshake and then they just blow your guy's brains out or something.
Yep. That does not happen in XCOM 2, to its credit.
Does XCOM 2 still have that thing where you have to manage like all the different countries and shit like that?
Oh yeah, it's far more in depth. You have your ship that you actually fly around the world with. Like you have to fly to missions in different countries and pick which ones you want to do. And things can happen while you're flying from one place to another. And so you've got to like park over places to investigate first, or you can pick and choose which countries you go help, but you actually have to fly to it, which is neat. They really scaled down the base building though. It's only like 12 cells instead of tons and tons. And I don't think there's any like adjacency bonuses. That they really simplified that.
That's good because that kind of pissed me off a little bit. Mostly the whole country bullshit because it'd be like it'd make you pick between all these extreme situations. It'd be like, hey, there's people being fucking abducted in like Russia, or it'd be like it make you choose between like three impossible ass
Yeah.
things, and I just freak out. I'd be like, well, fuck China, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
right. I haven't gotten far enough to know like what kind of decisions I had to make because I'm still pretty early on, and I gave up early on in college, but I'm assuming they'll still have those difficult choices.
the next one I had was Everhood.
Everhood?
Yeah,
Everhood.
I think I might have told you about this game. It's like almost like a rhythm adventure. You don't need to follow the rhythm. Like if you Google it, it'll remind you a lot of probably Undertale because it has like the visuals have like the same little aesthetic of it. But
Oh yeah.
the story and like the music and everything else, it's so great. But sometimes the quote combat is pretty fucking unforgiving because basically like the enemies will attack by doing their dance or their song or whatever, and you'll have to dodge the little projectiles. Basically, like if you imagine the Guitar Hero bullshit,
Yep.
you're just supposed to jump over the Guitar Hero bullshit. Or later in the game, you get the ability to deflect red colored ones. But sometimes the songs will just be so fucking insanely fast that you have no idea how the fuck you're supposed to dodge or jump around them or something. And if you die, you can't just start over from where you were in the song. You have to completely start the fucking song all over. So if you get some of these songs are about like a minute long or a minute and a half, maybe even 2 minutes. So I guess there are some longer songs that do let you restart kind of like toward the middle-ish, um but there's a lot of songs that are just so fucking fast, and it's a lot of trial and error to try to get through that shit because when I started playing the game I was on hard mode, and toward the end
You fool.
it, it got insanely hard toward the end, but I switched it over to normal and I beat it, and it was great. And there's lots of secrets in the game too. There's 3 different ways you can beat the game, which is really cool. And I don't want to spoil. I really want to talk about them, but I don't want to fucking spoil them for anybody else. I'll text you about it later because it's really cool, and I forgot about it until just now.
If anyone wants spoilers, email us at superpodsaga@gmail.com, and Aaron will email you the spoilers.
That's right, I will. I'll do it. It's fun. It's cool. But yeah, it's a great game. It's pretty twisty and almost nonsensical story, but it's a great game, albeit somewhat difficult.
Hey, we need to take an ad break.
Mm-hmm. I'm drinking some water. Yes, we do.
We'll be right
Hold on.
back.
Before we get to the ad, though, we have a quote that one of our patrons wants to read out for them.
Oh,
it's a
this is
good one.
exciting.
Yeah, so our first patron, a novel console. They're awesome. Here's their quote. Books are useless. I only ever read one book, To Kill a Mockingbird, and it gave me absolutely no insight on how to kill mockingbirds. Sure, it taught me not to judge a man by the color of his skin, but what good does that do me? To quote Homer Simpson.
Wonderful. Today's episode is sponsored by Fingers. Are you ever in a social situation and the person just keeps talking and talking and you don't know what to do? Grab a little sticky finger and put it on their lips. It's like a little piece of tape, but it's in the shape of a finger and it says shh. And you just put it on their lips and then they know that, oh, I've been talking too much. I need to stop talking. Haven't you ever been in those situations with friends or family, Aaron? Give an example.
Plenty of times. I have a lot of cousins I don't talk to and ask me about my job, and I wish I had fingers there, and I'd just be like, no.
Gosh, it's always the job question. It's always the job question.
I had the same job for 6 years. It has not changed.
Nothing's changed. Or whenever I'm in our hometown, I run into someone, they're like, how you been? And I'm like, you want me to sum up like the last 15 years? Like, so much has happened. I can't just, and they'll be like, yeah, I've been, and I'm like, no, I don't want this. You just go shh. Put a little finger on their lips. Put a little finger. Thank you, Fingers, for sponsoring the episode. And we're back. And we're back. the time skip always confuses me because we like go backwards in time to the ad break and then forwards back in time to where we are. My next pick is Punch Out / Super Punch Out.
That's a good one. God damn it.
Love playing Punch Out and playing Super Punch Out, but I am terrible at Punch Out and Super Punch Out. I've never beaten them. I've never gotten to Mike Tyson or Mr. Dream. Punch Out is like such a unique game. It is like a puzzle boxer. Is like, I remember I have a friend, gosh, you know when there's a game that you're like, oh, I have a friend who would love this. I just have to convince them to give it a chance. Like, I've got a friend that plays mainly like Halos, Call of Duties, Assassin's Creed, but I know their personality type. They would love Punch Out. And I was like, it's a puzzle boxing game. You just got to trust me on this one. You just got to try it. And he did. And he got hooked on it too and loved it. We just took turns. But all you do is dodge and punch. You just hit back to dodge back or to block. You can go left or right to dodge punches, and then you hit A to punch. But it's like so difficult, man. The attack patterns from the opponent boxers, first of all, there's a lot of RNG. They're not like the exact same every time. There's variations on everything. So even if you like think you see a tell, because they do have some tells, like the guy will wink and then he'll do a cross, or he'll do like a fake jab and then he's going to come with a cross, stuff like that. But it's not always true. So you could be prepared for something and completely get rocked. And once you start getting punched, it's so hard to like get out of that get back into that rhythm. You really have to be in a rhythm of dodging, punching, finding your openings. And like, man, there's a time limit too, because boxing in real life has a time limit, so I guess it makes sense. But just having Bald Bull take his 5 steps back and be like, I'm gonna come punch you, and you block it, and he does it again. You're like, you're wasting so much time. Just stop moving and let me punch you. There's a lot working against you, and everyone is way more powerful than you are. It's just such a challenge. But again, I don't know if there's many other games where you just get in that rhythm, that ride of just feeling the flow. And I want more Punch Out. We got one on the Wii that I didn't even know existed when I had my Wii, and we haven't had one since then.
That's true, yeah. And I don't think I've ever played any other Punch Out besides the one that was just on the NES. That's the only one I've played, and I didn't get very far at all. I think I got to like the glass jaw dude, and that's it.
It's tough too, because it's in sets of 3 or 4, so you have to beat like those 3 in a row before you can get to the 4th one. Then you can save your progress there, but still, just you gotta make it through with your lives. Oh man, tough times. My fingers are crossed that we'll get one on like the next generation console, because the developers who made the last Punch Out also make Luigi's Mansion and Mario Soccer, and we got both of those on Switch already. Mm-hmm. So fingers crossed that they now make a Punch Out.
I kind of hope we do, because I mean, I haven't played the last few, but I'd definitely play a new one. I like the concept. I like just the whole like yeah, like puzzle, like linear boxing games. It's like the other actual like boxing simulation games. Not counting like Wii Sports because that one's pretty fun.
You're
But
talking
like
about
the
Punch
actual
Out or Fight Night.
yeah, Fight Night. Like I don't really care about like realistic boxing. I just want to be able to like dodge and yeah, like figure out how to beat this guy and like memorize his attack patterns and stuff like that. That's my shit.
It also has a really lively speed running community, which is super fun.
Ooh,
There's a speed run for beating the game blindfolded, which is stupid.
what the fuck? Okay, good for him. Uh,
Right.
Speaking of Mike Tyson, the next game I had is Lisa. Yeah,
So that sounds familiar.
yeah, it's an RPG Maker game that came out a while ago. I mean, I guess like the full title is Lisa the Painful, but it's tough. I guess you're never safe because like there's never a safe place to rest. Like you can rest at campsites and stuff like that, but there's always a chance that maybe like one of your teammates will get taken hostage, and to get them back, you'll have to go find them and beat whoever took them, or like give them some money, or like sometimes they'll make you cut off like a finger or something so that you can't do certain attacks anymore and stuff like that. A lot of the best party members that you can get are like there's I guess like secret party members. Like some you'll have to pay money to recruit them, or you'll have to give them like a certain item, or you'll have to do some other kind of like side quest to get them. But I guess that's not difficult though. What is difficult is the combat because sometimes enemies are just super overpowered.
This looks like a
Yeah.
difficult game to explain. I'm just looking up pictures and videos, and
Mm.
this looks like one of those games that's 100% not for me.
Like it's got a I mean, the story is pretty fucking sad, but it's a good game. Like it's fun. It doesn't pull any punches at all, but it's fun.
Under is this game relevant to you? It says similar to games you've played, and it lists Undertale and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
I mean, I guess
What?
yeah. That
Yeah,
sounds
I
about
can
right.
see it. I just don't think I'd ever see that combo.
Oh yeah, and then so there's the main character Brad. He's addicted to this
Brad.
drug called joy. Yeah, Brad Armstrong actually. Yeah, he's addicted to this drug called joy, and every so often he'll have withdrawal. Like he'll go through withdrawal, and
Hmm.
I mean you can either just like it takes a while, but you can let the withdrawal just ride on through, and you'll be all right. But sometimes you'll be like, well, I'm not gonna be able to beat this boss, suffering withdrawals and shit, because you'll have like his stats will be dramatically reduced, and he just won't do any. Like he'll do like one damage, and I'm not even joking. He'll do exactly just one damage with each attack. So
Oof.
sometimes if you're at a boss and you don't have anything else, anywhere else to go, it's like, well, I guess I'll use some joy, but then that just further adds to his addiction, and yeah,
That's
there's a
rough.
lot of really bastard ass mechanics in that game, but it is fun. Good story.
Speaking of games with bastard ass mechanics that are fun,
Mhm.
The Witness. The Witness is
Oh,
a difficult game. Many people describe it as the Dark Souls of puzzle games, and I don't think I'd go that far, but I do understand where it comes from. The Witness is one of my favorite games of all time. So the puzzles are all drawing lines. It never goes beyond that. You have a tablet in front of you, and you have a start and an end point, and you have to draw a line from the start point to the end point. But throughout the game, they add different. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna call them like languages of puzzles because genuinely, with each different type, it feels like learning a different language, and it never tells you how to solve the puzzles. You have to figure it out yourself. Like, for example, if there is a puzzle that has squares that are yellow and squares that are blue on your way from the beginning to the end, and it's all grids. It's grids every time. It's just like a 4x4 grid. If there's like yellow and blue squares, you have to make sure your line splits them so that no blue squares are touching yellow squares. Or there will be little black squares on where you can draw the line, meaning when you make your your line, you have to make sure that you go over each of those little black squares. Or there's next to the line, next to the grid, there will be like pictures of almost like Tetris shaped pieces, which means when you make your puzzle, you have to make sure that you make those Tetris shaped pieces when you make your line from the beginning to the end. There's like 7 or 8 different varieties of languages of puzzle to learn, and like as you go through they get more difficult. There's even one where it's like it's just a grid. There's no clues at all you see is the grid. There's nothing nearby that hints at anything. If you move to angle yourself so that the sunlight in the actual sky goes off of it, you can see a path that was traced by someone else, and you know that that's the line that you have to draw. Or you're in the jungle and it's instead of a grid, it's just like 3 horizontal lines that kind of like loop back to the middle line, like so it's like a big W or a big M or whatever. And again, no hints given to you, but if you like listen, you'll hear birds tweeting, and one will go like do 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 do, so you know that your line has to go down down up down. It's just endless like things, and like learning all the intricacies of each language and how to make them work is like fun and awesome. And then as you get further into the game, it starts combining them into the same puzzles. So you'll have like the little black squares. You're like, okay, I have to make sure I pick up all of these, but I also have to separate the blue and yellow squares, and it just piles onto itself, and it uses like so many different parts of your brain that you just feel like you're going insane. There were so many times where I was just staring at the screen of a grid and just like drawing lines, trying to make it work, and just over and over again, because I'm like, this is to work, right? And if you do it and you hit the end and it doesn't work, it makes your line disappear and you have to start over. It's just the way that it makes you learn the puzzles is amazing, and it just creates a challenge that like I know how all these pieces work, I just don't know how to fit them together, and it's super satisfying. I love that game so much.
It's cool that they have puzzles like that kind of really challenge you to the point where you have to like jot stuff down or like draw something.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you want to hear the most insane puzzle?
Yes.
Slight spoilers for The Witness, but you can draw lines on the world itself. Like when you'll be looking down at a river and you'll be like, that looks like a start and an end point, and you can actually draw the line on like a river, and it'll be like, yeah, you did it, but you don't really get anything for it. There's one puzzle where you have to like, you're in like a hallway, like a cavernous hallway, and at the end is a movie screen, like a projector screen. You have to start a movie that takes 45 minutes, and you have to start a line at one side of the cavern hallway, draw it to the end, and you have to wait for a specific point in the movie where you can draw a line across the screen to the other side of the hallway.
What the fuck?
You don't get anything for it. There's no reward.
Oh, but it's just there for the fun of it.
For people who have to complete every puzzle. And there's an end game mode, not like a mode, but there's like an end game room that's like, I never even tried it, but it's like take everything that I've said and pump it up 10 notches. It's like randomized puzzles, randomized layouts, and it's super insanely difficult. I have to recommend a YouTube video for you when we're done so you can see it in action.
I do kind of want to see this. I love looking at like I remember watching a video a long time ago of like the most difficult puzzles in video games, and I know The Witness was on there, but there was also this one from like there's this one point and click adventure game that had like a part about a goat. Like that was pretty interesting too.
If I had played point and click adventure games, I'm sure there could be plenty that could be on this list, but I just haven't played any of those.
Speaking of games where you point and click, how about Ori and the Blind Forest?
Oh, Ori and the Black, yeah.
Because there's no point in clicking in that game.
Nope.
But man, that was almost such a good transition. Fuck. Whatever. So, Ori and the Blind Forest. It's it's one of those difficult platformers, but once you learn the mechanics, and there's a lot you can do to really customize the character so that you can basically build the perfect little platformy character for you. One of the coolest things is that you can drop a checkpoint damn near anywhere. Like no matter where you go, you can just drop a checkpoint wherever you go. Like the game doesn't make them for you; you make them. And at those checkpoints, you can recover HP, of course, but also you can upgrade your skills and shit. And whenever you beat enemies, you'll get experience, and then you use that or when you get enough experience to level up, get skill points. But you can use those skill points for different skills, and a lot of them you don't even really need. Like you can get like a triple jump, which is stupid. You don't need the triple jump at all, but there's a lot of cool shit you can unlock, and that's one of the few platformers I've played where I really wanted to 100% the game because yeah, it's difficult as fuck. There's a lot of hidden things like health upgrades or energy upgrades. There's a lot of like hidden upgrades you can get like you'd usually expect in a Metroidvania that are tucked behind really difficult like little puzzle situations you have to get yourself through. And and yeah, you have to really use your whole move set to get over there. Like probably one of the coolest moves ever in the game. Well, no, so if your normal, jump, you have your like wall grabs, and the coolest thing is what's called deflect, where like say an enemy's projectile is coming at you, you can hold down the Y button and it'll like stop time, and you can aim this little arrow in a certain direction. Wherever the arrow's pointing is where you'll launch Ori, and so there's little platforming sections where there'll be like lanterns or enemies shooting at you, so you can use their projectiles to your advantage. Oh, and wherever you use the deflect, the wherever the opposite end of that arrow is pointing is where the projectile will go. So you can use that to like shoot yourself this way, but then shoot the projectile back at the enemy, or like shoot the projectile at
Yeah,
something in the environment
super
to help you out.
satisfying.
Yeah, it's so cool, and you could chain. There's no limit to how many times you can use that. You could just chain it together, like one, two, three, boom, you're there. But yeah, it's so I bought the original version of the game so long ago, and I'm pretty sure I 100%ed that. Like I got every achievement, got every inch of the map discovered, got every hidden collectible there was in that game because I loved it so much. And then they came out with the definitive edition, which changed. It had a lot of neat quality of life changes, and I bought that, and I almost got everything. But yeah, there's a lot of points in the story where like there's this one point in the story where I think you're in either in like a dormant volcano or an active volcano. But anyway, the volcano's gonna erupt, so you have to outrun all this lava that's chasing you, and you have to keep going up and up and up and up and up. And of course, if lava touches you, you die. So there's a lot of really tricky maneuvers. You have to keep like there's no chance at all to ever stay still. You got to keep going and going and going. And then there's another point toward the end of the game where it's you have to navigate through these narrow corridors that are just lined with spikes, and obviously if you touch them you die. But there's a lot of situations like that, and it's so neat because it's so fun to use your brain and be like, how can I get through this and not die? But yeah, I didn't get too much into the second game, but the first game is one of my favorites ever. That
Well,
game is too good.
good news because I only played the sequel Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I have so much to say. I've been waiting patiently. So that save thing that you mentioned, I was very confused because they absolutely do not have anything like that in Will of the Wisps.
Yeah,
And
they did away with that, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, I googled it because I was like, "What? You could just save anywhere and like upgrade there?" And apparently, the developer said nobody missed Soul Link and Ori Will of the Wisps, as in like nobody liked it. And I'm like, "But that sounds cool." And they said like we had it tied to the B button, but we had so many new abilities that we just didn't want to use space that it could be used for an ability. And
Mhm.
that was one of my problems with Will of the Wisps was it just felt like it way overloaded on abilities and mechanics and stuff. I just felt like I didn't like I beat Will of the Wisps, but it was a letdown for me. And part of that was because there was just way too many abilities to try and juggle. Like it didn't feel good trying to just juggle all the button combos and trying to time everything perfectly. Like you said with the being able to dodge yourself into a different thing, like that's all good on its own, and you gave a perfect example. But when you're doing it being chased by a sandworm and there's other button combos that you have to do, it just becomes not fun. It was like the anti Celeste where I saw what I needed to do, but it didn't feel good doing it. It was just too much of a mess.
Yeah, the first game really, No, I should say the second game really tried to like further augment the combat, and that's
Yeah.
why I didn't really care for that much because the first game was just mostly about platform. Like there was combat, but it was really just limited to tap X to shoot these little fireball things, and that was pretty much it. And I don't recall any other attacks in the first game, but yeah, I'm sure it's on Game Pass. Absolutely check
Oh
out
yeah,
the
it
first
is.
one because it's way better than the second one. And everybody else I talk to, they're like, "Oh, Will of the Wisps is it's the way better. It's
Yeah.
so
People
good." Like,
love that game, and I did not get it. I was frustrated more often than not.
yeah, no, I mean, the story is cool, but no, it's not as good as the first game. God damn it, it's not.
It's not. You heard it here. Speaking of things that are frustrating, the very last mission in Simpsons Hit and Run. if, if you're a person who has played The Simpsons Hit and Run and got to that last mission, you know what I'm talking about. I never beat that game because of that last mission. It is. Have you ever played Simpsons Hit and Run, Aaron?
I played it, but I don't know the mission you're talking
It's
about.
fantastic all the way through until the last mission. The goal of the last mission is to take a bunch of nuclear waste, drive it across the map to the alien UFO to blow it up or something like that. And you have since you're carrying nuclear waste, you have like a damage meter, and if the damage meter goes all the way down, your car blows up. And it is from one side of the map to the other. And so as you're driving in this car that has horrible handling, awful handling because you're carrying a big thing of nuclear waste, you're like a boat rocking all over the place. You have to contend with the normal everyday traffic, but also dozens of enemy people controlled by aliens, I think they are. I don't remember specifically, but they are coming directly at you to try and smash into your car. It is so impossibly difficult. There's no checkpoints. I want to say it's like a 4 or 5 minute run to from one side to the other, and like you can take like 2 or 3 hits before your car explodes. It is not a lot. They give you like no leeway, so you have to perfectly dodge all the traffic. You have to perfectly dodge all the enemies that come directly at you. They don't come from behind. As you're going along the path, they'll come from in front of you, driving towards you. I never finished it, and every other mission in the game, most missions, it lets you skip if you fail enough. It's like, hey, you really suck at this. Do you just want to skip? And you're like, yes. It doesn't let you do that for the last mission. Nope, you got to beat it. I never did.
That reminds me of the one mission in San Andreas where I guess there's a couple. There's that remote control airplane one that's an absolute bitch, but then there's the one where you're chasing a train on a dirt bike. The one where Big Smokey's all like, "All you had to do was follow the damn train, CJ," and it was
Early 2000s gaming. It feels like they didn't have anyone test some of the parts.
I know because it was unless you were really good at controlling the dirt bike and knew exactly where to go or how to get around like the hills and shit, it was impossible.
Google Simpsons Hit and Run last mission Reddit, and you'll find tons of Reddit threads where people are like, I never beat it. Too difficult. Why?
I see that now. I'm doing it right now too. Holy shit.
It's notorious.
I remember a lot about like the different vehicles in that game. And that was pretty cool because I played a little bit of it, but not a lot. But I remember there was of course the Simpsons family car. But then there was that car that Homer made.
Yeah, it was tons of fan service.
Or maybe this was a different game. I remember Reverend Lovejoy had the book burning mobile.
Wouldn't be surprised if it was in it. They had like everything.
That was cool.
That was the first game that no, I'm not done.
Okay.
One of the cars you could unlock with a cheat code was like a super duper fast car that like could not turn at all. That was the first time in memory that I like broke out of bounds of a game because I drove so fast that I went through the houses and like was in like the falling into space, but all you see is the background area, and I was like, what is happening? Did I find a new area? I just wanted to throw that memory out there of my first time breaking out of bounds in a game.
Oh, the one I was thinking of is the Simpsons Road Rage.
Different game.
I need to look at what these cars are real fast. The car built for Homer. Oh yeah, Mr. Plow. Oh my god.
That was in Hit and Run.
It,
Guarantee that was in Hit
Marge had the canyon arrow. Oh my
and Run.
god.
I used to
And
watch
then
The
Willie.
Simpsons every day after school.
Me too,
Go
dude. Yep.
home, turn on Fox.
It'd be Two and a Half Men and then The Simpsons. Oh yeah, and then Otto just had the school bus.
hmm
Oh my god. Yep. Remaster that game, dude. Give us like a Simpsons collection. I wouldn't mind having both of those.
Yeah, seriously, THQ I think was the publisher, and so the new THQ should own the rights to it.
That'd be awesome. Well, speaking of games that would be cool if they were brought to modern consoles, the last one I have is one of my favorites. It's Shin Megami Tensei 4.
Ah, SMT4.
Yes, you got it right, Tommy. It's tough. I My first time playing the game, it was difficult. I got not very far at all. I got to like the first boss, which is this like Minotaur, and I remember I tried to fight him twice, got my shit absolutely rocked, and I stopped playing the game for years. Came back to it, and I tried it again, and I beat him, and I was like, oh, this game's good. And then I got to Medusa, and I died, and I quit playing again. But then the next time when I came back and beat Medusa, I was like, oh, this game actually is good. But what's what's so difficult about it is that not only do both you and enemies just do lots of damage to each other, there's there's what's called a press turn system, which both you and the enemies can take advantage of. So when just like Persona and other Shin Megami Tensei games, well, not just like other Shin Megami Tensei games, whatever. Who cares? So the press turn system, whenever you hit an enemy with something they're weak against, you'll gain an extra turn. But if you hit them with something that they either absorb, repel, or just flat out block, you'll not only will you lose a turn, but you'll lose your like all of your turns. So the enemies can then just beat the fuck out of you. They'll just gang up on you guys and just destroy you. And oh my gosh! And when you first come across demons, even bosses, when you first come across something, normally in combat you can pull up a page to see what elements and shit that enemies are weak against and what attacks they have. But when you first come across a boss or a demon, obviously you won't have that. So it's up to you to kind of figure out what they are weak against by just throwing attacks at them, just basically throwing
I
darts at
hate
them and
that.
seeing what
I hate
sticks.
that.
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, luckily in the Shin Megami Tensei 4 you can save anywhere, so you can just pull up to a boss, save, start the battle, and throw attacks at them, see what they're weak against, and if you die, of course, you can just restart and try it again. This game has you, I guess, any Shin Megami Tensei game, honestly, will have you rely heavily, like heavily on buffs. Like buffs do matter in this game. Like there's toward the end of the game, there's a spell called Luster Candy, which gives you, I think it's a +1 or +2 to all of your stats, and I think that's to all of your allies, and that's super helpful because there have been quite a few bosses where I've had to where my current party just did not stand a chance, so I'd have to really think about maybe I should just fuse these demons together to make this demon with these attacks, and then recruit other demons, and then try to basically fuse into these perfect demons with the perfect attacks. Because forget, I think it was toward the end of the game when you're fighting. My first ending was I think the chaos ending where I had to fight Lucifer, and I had to basically have one dedicated buff and heal guy, and then I had another dedicated guy for just blasting Lucifer's weakness, which I forget what it was, and then another guy who was just doing like neutral damage and debuffing him and shit like that. And that's what a lot of the game is just really, really strategizing and making the most of your turns because the enemies could just womp you at any goddamn moment. They could just hit any, because not just yourself, but all of your demon allies also have different weaknesses as well. And yeah, there's also they fixed this in other games, but in this game in Shin Megami Tensei 4, light and dark attacks have a slim chance of killing you instantly. So you have to hit you with one of those and you die instantly, like oops. And then if the main character dies, it, that's it, game over. Like you can't keep going from
Wow.
there.
Like a
And
game
then
over. Like you have to go back to the last checkpoint.
yep, you'd reload your save.
Ooh.
and when you really know what you're doing, it's fun. It's great. But I guess like your first time through, it's gonna be an absolute bitch.
That sounds difficult, and it's another, like, a lot of the games that you've listed today have been like, Tommy, you should try these games, and then hearing you talk about them and how difficult they are, I'm like, oh boy.
I just had what I was gonna say back, but then it
Oh,
immediately disappeared. God
shoot,
damn it!
man. Speaking of things that have disappeared,
Oh, oh no! Stop yourself right there. What I was gonna say was also that like so to recruit new demons, the game is also all about risks. So when you talk to a demon, and you can either have them join you or give you items or give you money, but there's also a chance you could say something that pisses them off, and then they could just attack you and just obliterate your whole team. And there's just a lot of other risky business like that. But now you can go ahead.
Risky business.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that disappear, is that what I said? Invisible.
Yeah. Sure.
You can become invisible in Halo.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Halo Infinite because that's the one that I played on my own all the way through. But I'm gonna throw in the Halo 1, 2, and 3 because I played through them with a friend who only played on Legendary, and
Oh, God.
it is an absolute nightmare. I did not grow up playing the Halo games, so like, imagine just throwing me into Legendary from the get-go, not knowing the weapons, not knowing the enemies, just throwing me in the deep end and be like, we're going to beat this on Legendary. And I was like, well, why? And he's like, it's fun.
No, it's not.
So what it essentially came down to was me just hiding in the back while he ran and did everything. And it's like everything else I've described with shooting arrows in other video games. This is probably where I learned how to do this, was just playing Halo with my friend and him going and handling everything and me just staying in the back. And it's also like, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but if one person dies, then that's it. You have to start over from wherever the last save was.
That's correct.
That's bull crap. That sucks because I suck at Halo, and it's just like 2 bullets and you're dead, and you can't. They take like 20 bullets, so you have to.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh man, it's they'll throw grenades, so it'll be impossible. It's just so insanely difficult. I definitely played Halo Infinite on easy because I was like, I'm not putting up with that bull crap. Why? How does anyone get enjoyment out of that?
I mean, I guess it's different with Halo on Legendary because there's bullets flying from every fucking direction.
Yeah,
but like,
everywhere.
that's different with all the other games I've mentioned. I don't know how anybody gets enjoyment out of that. Yeah, I guess maybe unless you're really good at Halo and you want a challenge, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not like whatever
Yeah.
floats your boat, whatever makes you happy with video games. I'm happy for you, but it makes me very unhappy.
I had my cousins I would go down and play with a lot. They had that. They would do that a lot. I think we got toward the end of Halo 2 on Legendary, and I did pretty much the same shit. I would hide in like a ghost or a wraith or whatever the fuck the tanks were. Just be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm helping.
It makes me feel good when I'm in a big old vehicle.
Big old mechy boy.
So that's it then. Yeah, that's all the difficult games. No other games are difficult, or we would have mentioned them.
That's right. I mean, if somehow by the grace of God somebody manages to just pull one out of air, where do you think they could send those to us, Tommy?
Twitter. Superpod Saga on Twitter. You can email us at superpodsaga@gmail.com. Facebook message us, comment on a YouTube video on our channel. Find some way to let us know. Buy ad space on a billboard.
Paper
We
airplane.
need to know your opinions.
Imagine we get a message in a bottle that just like
Oh, I would
rolled
love
up
that.
your front stoop, and it's like, hey man, Blink's time sweeper was pretty difficult at some points.
Just
And
so
you're
you know,
like,
Sekiro is way more difficult than Elden Ring. Elden Ring's actually quite easy.
you just like slap your hand against your forehead to like, oh
That's what we want. Do that.
yes please, yeah, do please send us messages in contact us on anything, or whatever you prefer. Contact us and we'll get back at you, or the website too. The website's a good one.
Yeah, we have a
recently
website.
got you leave a voicemail, do whatever you want.
And you can look forward to the next episode featuring me and Aaron. I get to pick the topic.
Yep.
And the topic that I'm going to pick, which I'm very surprised we haven't talked about, I actually had to like go back through our episodes because I was like, we've had to have talked about this, right? But we haven't. I want to talk about the best sequels.
Oh,
The best,
haven't we? Yeah, that is a good one.
right? The best sequels. So look forward to that. Get your thoughts in mind to see if they differ with ours. And thank you for listening, everyone. You're the best. You're the best.
You are the best. Yeah. Awesome.
See you next time. Bye.
Yep. Goodbye.